Joining us now, we have attorney at Law Robin Montano. How are you, my friend?
Still alive. Thank you, Mikey.
Yes, indeed. And that's something we must not take for granted, my friend. So much has taken place, and we've lost so many of our precious friends. And it's good to know that your heart is still beating and your feet are touching the ground every morning, my friend. I'm looking at what you read in the opening campaign salvo. You said, I must confess that I felt as if I had wasted my precious time when I listened to Keith Rowley's conversations with the Prime Minister last night. On the positive side, I had to admire his presentation. He is nothing if not an excellent salesman, and listening to him, even though I knew that what he was saying was either simply not true or was absolute rubbish, I couldn't help thinking that an uncritical or unthinking listener would have been persuaded that he was doing a good job and that everything that had gone wrong was the UNC's fault. Well, I guess everybody has their strengths, eh? Robin, I think you'd agree with me. The Chinese have an old saying, you'll never meet a man so ignorant you can't learn something from him. So, we all have our strengths. But what was your takeaway from all of this?
Well, my takeaway from all of it was that as I said at the beginning, it was the opening salvo of campaign. I've been reading the tea leaves for some time now, and while I certainly will be the first one to confess that I don't have a hotline to God, unfortunately, all signs are pointing to the fact that the government is going to go to an early election. Take, for example, this move of taking the ambassador to the United States, pulling him back all of a sudden to Trinidad, and firing the head of the SSA just like that. Now, I don't know this, but I'm picking up a story, so I'm asking, is it true? Is it true that what happened was that the visa for the ambassador was revoked? Is that true? And is that why they had to find a hurry job for him? So they brought him back to Trinidad. Is it true? Unfortunately, we will just never know because the United States ain't saying nothing. Now, I read a report saying that the United States was going to ask all ambassadors who have been there for more than 5 years to leave. Is this true? I mean, and if it's true, why couldn't we just say that this is so, that the ambassador was brought home because the U.S. didn't want him? Is that the reason? I mean, this is an important post. And why all of a sudden was this fellow Bell fired? What was this summary dismissal all about? Because somebody said today, I think it was Philip Alexander, said, that there's a difference between intelligence and knowledge and knowledge. And you were acting on intelligence only that you fired him? It doesn't make sense, and there are too many things in the country that aren't making sense. Take, for example, Petrotrin. The closure of Petrotrin never made sense, and we've never got proper instructions on it. We've never been told why, for example, there was a multi-billion-dollar loss with the fake oil and everything else, but nobody has been prosecuted on that. Why? There are too many questions going, why? And yet, as I said in my post, I said, look, Keith Rowley is nothing if not an excellent salesman. Certainly, listening to him, you would think that all is right in the world and that they are doing an excellent job. But if they're doing an excellent job, why is crime so high? Is that the fault of the UNC? Because you wouldn't. You said that you had named a team of low-level diplomats or low-level functionaries, and they wanted to bring it in at a high level so that any agreements that could flow from such a meeting would flow with real authority. But they were saying, well, you, Prime Minister, have to be there. We're bringing our leader. And yet you then blame them completely.
Yeah, because Robin, I don't mean to cut you. Last night he made it quite clear that they are citizens. We are living in fear. Many of the people are frustrated, seeing that, according to him, the government are putting people behind bars, and it is the fault of the opposition why these people are not staying behind bars because of the extension of the bail amendment bill. And I believe the UNC is making it quite clear, if it doesn't work, then we need to look at something that we can implement that can give us the results that we're looking for. And then the fact of the matter, some of the language that was used, especially, and I spoke to Dave Tanku, who is the shadow UNC finance minister, spoke to him earlier, and the language is that if it is that the UNC again and the opposing forces hinder many of the revenue-generating plans of this government, then this government will have no option but to go knocking on the door of the IMF. Taking all of that in consideration, are we being set up for something?
Well, the short answer to that is I don't know. It certainly looks like it. It certainly looks like it and it feels like it, but we don't know because we're not being told. Look, take, for example, this infamous oil spill off of Tobago. Now, what is the true story there? What was Stuart Young doing in Caracas the day after the story broke? Apparently the barge crashed on the 7th of February. Why did it take so long? It took something like two weeks. I can't remember now exactly. But it took a long time before the news leaked out, no pun intended. Now, why did it take that long? What has been going on? Why was Stuart Young in Caracas? Who did he see in Caracas? I'm asking, was this an attempt to help Venezuela subvert the American sanctions? Because if that is the case, then the Americans will sanction us, and we're going to be in trouble for that. So there are too many whys and too little information that is flowing. And even when the information flows, you don't know that you can trust what is being said. This is a very unhappy state of affairs. And unfortunately, you see, as I said to somebody today, the leader of the opposition is going to have to reply to everything that Keith Rowley said last night, and she's going to have to reply soon, and she's going to have to be as forceful and as he was. She's going to have to make a very attractive case, and she has to do it. Nobody else can do it. She can't send in a substitute, and
and before we close off, you're right, because it seems as Dr. Rowley is very much confident to sit there and distort the facts. And that's the question you have to ask. Why would someone be so comfortable to just sit there and make these pronouncements and knowing quite well that we can go back and connect the dots? But it seems as though, listen, I'm in charge, and whatever I say, I don't think anyone is going to question it, and I can just simply say it.
and he's being allowed to get away with that, Mikey. And we are allowing it to happen. And part of the problem is the fact that the opposition is effectively, or not, I shouldn't say effectively, I was going to say effectively hopeless, but that is too strong. I would say that the opposition is not being effective. You know, I have been saying for a little while that we have made a mistake in that we call the opposition the opposition. We should refer to the opposition as the alternative government. And we should refer to the leader of the opposition as the alternative prime minister, because that's what he, or in this case she, is, the alternative prime minister. And the truth is that elections are very sort of leadership top heavy. When you vote for the UNC or the PNM, as the case may be, you're effectively voting for Rowley or Kamla, and that is effectively your choice.
Yeah.
So who is the better alternative? The devil you know? And well, in this case, it's the two devils, and I'm using the word devil in inverted commas, because we know what both of them are like. The only difference between them is that Kamla had, on the last occasion, a better team around her than Rowley has around him right now. But the problem is that Kamla has got rid of most of the competent people around her. And she's got a bunch of people around her who really just can't cut it.
I want to stick a pin in that our time is up, but I'm certain next week we'll continue with part 2. I want you to expand on that as we head into this 2025 general elections. I think the conversation needs to begin early, and I want to thank you so much for taking time out to link with us this evening. But next week we will continue in that, and tell us who are some of the best people, and as well as how would you define a working alliance? What would be the criteria and some of the things you would look at when forming an alliance that you believe is needed?
That's a good question, and I will need a chance to answer it.
Good. So I will next Wednesday, same time, same place. We look forward to having you on once again. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much.